What's going on, guys? Vulkan here, and today we're going through some of the biggest mistakes that players make when they first start Outriders. And sometimes even veterans like myself learn something new every now and then, so it's good to keep your eyes peeled for new methods and new ways of doing things. So all of these tips and tricks are things that we've learned through experimentation and just kind of over time, right? Trying different things, talking to friends, talking to other people online, and I wanted to get these bundled up in a nice video for you. That way you guys don't have to wait and kind of figure these things out yourself. You'll have it right here in front of you. So let's go ahead and let's get started. And the first one we're going to be talking about is a simple one, but there's a little bit more than meets the eye, and that's equip and keep your gear updated, including your sidearm. Now that seems like a really basic tip and trick, right? Yeah, of course. Duh, we want to keep all of our stuff updated because new stuff comes in, we don't want to hang on to the old stuff. True. However, there's another metric that kind of goes into this. Your average item level is the biggest factor when it comes to your maximum health and your anomaly power. And that includes your sidearm. And sidearms are often forgotten about when it comes to gear, right? You have your main weapon, you have your secondary weapon, you have all of your armor, but no one really checks their sidearm and thinks, hey, is this at the highest item level it could possibly be at? So you can easily bump all of these item levels up at the crafting table, or you can just get better gear from quests, vendors, or end game. And honestly, if you're struggling to progress through world tiers, it might be because your average item level is a little too low. So try equipping some higher level items. Even if you lose a good mod, it's okay. You can put that mod back on at the crafting table, so don't worry too much. There's a couple times where I had to go from a purple piece of gear to a blue piece of gear because it was just such a higher item level, and it ended up working out. I got a lot more maximum health, a lot more anomaly power, and I was able to progress even better despite losing some of those mods. This one was surprising for me when I first heard it, but it made a world of difference. So let's move to number 2, and that's not updating your attributes. So when you get an item that's green or above, you're going to start to see attributes on your gear. These are randomly rolled stats that give you a bonus, like bonus firepower, cooldown reduction, anomaly power, right? And these bonuses can be increased by spending shards at the crafting table, and they make a huge difference. I'm talking seeing a stat go from 3% to 10%. And you might be asking, Vulkan, where can I get these magic shards to upgrade? Well, the cool thing is you can get them anytime. You just go break down your gear, anything that's green or higher. Now, the higher the rarity, the more shards you're going to get. And if you take a look at a piece of gear, then you'll see a little symbol next to one of those attributes. It looks like a down arrow. That's the type of shard you'll get from breaking down that item. Like I said, it could be cooldown reduction, it could be skill leech, anything like that. Most of the times I just mass mark everything and don't really worry about what I'm getting because the game just throws so much loot at you. So you don't have to kind of micromanage that system. Just take what you get and continue moving forward. So that's a big thing. Make sure to do that. If you don't, you're gonna have a difficult time progressing through those tiers. Now, rolling off of attributes, we have number 3, and that is make sure to change your weapon variant. So the crafting table does have another secret, and that is changing how your weapon performs through something called a weapon variant. And these are going to really affect how your weapon handles. And I'm talking about some big differences. So right now, the tactical assault rifle is the highest DPS weapon. And I mean, you can just see the difference when I toggle between the standard variant and the tactical one. Just look at that damage number change. It is insane what this thing does. The crit multiplier goes up, it's wild. So make sure to check that for any weapons you like to use, because there might be something out there that performs and feels a little bit better in your hands that you might not have known about. Outriders has one of the best subtle features of a looter that I've seen, and that little quality of life update is number 4, and that's the auto loot feature. So this will automatically pick up all the gear that you leave behind when you die or when you move into a new area. And the cool thing here is that you can activate it whenever you want. You can either press the H key or down on the D-pad, and it's going to pick up all the gear in the area. But the cool thing is, this doesn't only pick up gear, but it'll also pick up those keys that you need to unlock doors. So you don't have to backtrack across the whole arena, grab the key, and then come back to the door in order to progress. You can just press that auto loot button, boom, and you have it. Another cool thing about this feature is that it doesn't have a range. So you can literally press it and it'll pick up everything in the area. You don't have to get close to something or anything like that. I always press it before I proceed, just out of habit, and then keep kind of moving on. Now, you can also change the lowest rarity that you want to auto loot. So if you don't want green gear anymore or white gear, then you can raise the lowest rarity to blue. And eventually when you don't want blues anymore, you can change the lowest rarity to purple, and so on and so forth. That way you can kind of manage your inventory a little bit easier and only pick up the stuff that you want to pick up. Number 5 is a little bit different. It's something that you might have noticed but not really acknowledged, and that is body blocking. So enemies and Outriders have a very bad habit of always being in the way, even when they die. So if you look closely when you kill an enemy, they don't immediately disappear. Instead, they kind of hang out for a bit, right? Ragdoll physics. Now the problem here is that those bodies will just eat ammunition and block all of your damage from anything behind them. So if you kill an enemy, make sure to pivot around their body to avoid dumping tons of bullets into them and doing 0 damage. This is especially critical for those running anomaly rounds builds where you have to make the most out of those magazines, right? Each bullet counts because you need to roll that over into a new clip. So I'm not entirely sure if this is something that was in there by design, if it's a byproduct of the engine they're using, or if it was just an oversight. Either way, this is something that's bit me multiple times. You kill an enemy, it kind of slumps over, and then you keep shooting and it just keeps hitting that dead body. You're not doing any damage. Next thing you know, you're reloading and this kind of like wave of new enemies comes up and over that dead body and they're mauling you to death. So don't be like me, avoid that whole body blocking thing, pivot around the dead body and blow everything up. So the last one is a big deal, and it's one that often players forget about, myself included, and that's don't forget about those survivability mods, right? When it comes to Outriders endgame, speed is king, and DPS is the horse used to get there, but something I see players doing all the time is dumping all of their resources to equip only DPS mods and boost DPS attributes, and that's great, but once you get into higher tiers, you're not going to be able to last long enough to use all that firepower, or you're going to be worrying too much about positioning and trying to make sure you block certain enemies here, lines of sight over there, and it's not going to be a fun experience. Unless you like that type of stuff, then by all means, go for it. But the biggest thing is, just add something like an emergency stance, a damage absorber, or another mod that you can use to boost armor, boost your resistances, and give yourself a little bit more beefiness. That way you can survive longer and make those mistakes. I mean, you don't need to go overboard, right, and replace all of your DPS mods with survivability ones or go half and half, but you know, 1 or 2 are going to work wonders. It's going to give you a ton more survivability and give you more leniency to go out there and make mistakes and learn the game. Not everybody is a big speed runner, not everybody is a world first racer, so go out there, do what works best for you, and have a good time. And honestly, that's like a hidden other mistake that people make, is they forget to have fun with these games. I mean, at the end of the day, guys, this is a game. It's a fun game. It's one that you can go out, grind some gear, try something different, have a good time, you know, break out of the meta a little bit, and just kick back, experiment, and enjoy the game for what it is. So guys, that is it, but I'm curious to hear from you. What mistakes were you making that held you back? What mistakes do you see other players making? Let me know in the comment section below, but as always, this has been Vulkan, and I'll talk to you guys next time.